Hello, welcome to another edition of Green Chair Interviews. My name's Adam Mason, and we've got something very special for you today. I'd like you to please welcome Sonya von Heyking, who's here to talk to us about redesigning a course. Now, I want to ask you right off the bat, who in their right mind would want to redesign a course that they've been doing it this way for the last 27 years and they've got it down pat and down cold? Why do we want to bring those folks in and have them have a look at redesigning their course?
The impetus for me was kind of twofold. One was what I was seeing in student outcomes. There was they were struggling with picking up some core concepts that I thought should be a little bit more straightforward. And then when you speak to students and find out how they're doing their work and how they're going about their assignments where they should be learning these, it was pretty evident that the status quo wasn't working for the course. And also, we had been relying on an online platform for all of the assignments, and I was spending a higher proportion of time answering technical issues and technical problems dealing with using that platform than I was with the actual material. So I thought, anything has to be better than this. I can't be answering emails and contacting help desks at 10 o'clock at night. I'd rather be investing my time in something where it's going to translate into a learning outcome.
All right, excellent. I think you and I probably have a lot in common with our teaching in that we both come from an applied side of things, as opposed to, say, document type research. Well, in music, we are about performing and developing musicians, and there's not like this one linear way to get there. And not to mention, it's such a moving target. The medium for music, the audience, everything is constantly changing, always reinventing itself, always moving. So does some of that come into play with management as well?
Actually, some of what you said really resonates. So I teach the introductory accounting course and introductory financial accounting. When we are introducing the course at the beginning, we describe it as being a new language. And music is also a type of language that students aren't accustomed to necessarily. And so that practical application, having context for what they're learning, being able to go through the motions and actually practice the language, as it were, has been very, very helpful. So yes, I think the learning, the actually going through the motions of it is critical to them learning the core concepts.
Excellent, excellent. Now, can you tell us about what help you received in redesigning your course?
Actually, the Teaching Center resources, the people there were phenomenal. So I had a very clear understanding of what the problems were that I was encountering and what I wanted to achieve. I knew pretty clearly what the outcomes needed to be and how I wanted to get there, but I didn't have any idea of how the technology could help me, how Moodle could help me, or how else we could facilitate a change from the way that they were doing their work to a new way of doing their work. And so meeting with the Teaching Center was just phenomenal. It was so simple and it was exciting, sitting down with them and going through what Moodle was capable of and how I could change it and how I could deliver it differently. I remember just being very excited and asking lots of questions. Okay, well, does that mean I can do this? And does that mean that I can do this? And the answers were almost universally, yes, you can. And in fact, here's the feedback that you're going to get. So again, it was all solutions-based. It came full circle. The solutions were great. So there is some time that you have to put into it, but if you know that there's a problem that you want to solve and you have a sense of what the outcome you want is, they're there and they just seem to have the answers. It's not their first rodeo, as it were.
What would you say was one of the great results? What were some of the good results that you felt came out of visiting the folks in the Teaching Center?
Actually, I have two. One more empirical and one a little bit, a little bit more in the heart. But I've had students come up to me and say how much they enjoy the new format. Students who are doing the course again or who have used the original platform before, that they're finding that they're really better able to learn the materials and that it's just a better learning tool. So that's been great feedback. But we're also seeing it. There's actually the course I teach, there's 3 sections every semester of the course. So we have 180 students taking the same course every semester here on Lethbridge campus with 3 different instructors, and only 2 of us have adopted these changes, and the 3rd instructor is still delivering it the way that it was. Well, the 2 of us who have adopted the changes have seen across the board a 6 to 7% increase in the average on our midterms.
Excellent.
So it's, the overall average in performance has gone up. And we're seeing that it's coming clearly in the results on the midterms. And then the quality of their answers too. It's very evident in something like accounting to see whether or not somebody is just regurgitating numbers or doing calculations, or whether or not they really understand the process of what they're doing and what they're trying to derive. And so the quality of the answers we're seeing has also gone up significantly.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So you have been putting all these things into practice. You've been a practitioner of the things that you're teaching, which makes you so just invaluable to your students to look up and be an inspiration. I can imagine the population of faculty here. There's a lot of people like you. I imagine there's a lot of folks that they have been teaching a course for years and years and years and years. You get really attached to things and you sort of get into a routine. So what would you say to that person?
I think with any position or with any career, you do get into the situation where you've done things a certain way, you've become very comfortable with it, you also know how to measure it and gauge the success, and there is a bit of anxiety maybe around doing something different. What I would say is that the best thing that I think an instructor can do is to demonstrate that their own curiosity is still ignited and that their own learning is still ignited. And that comes across very clearly when you redesign a course. I think that the effort and the learning that you've put into it and how that maybe re-energizes you in your teaching, the students perceive that. The students can pick up on that. And I think that that was an unintended consequence, but a very good consequence of making these changes.
Yeah, excellent, excellent. Well, the new life and the I'm sure the passion that you bring to your students is just fantastic, and to have this opportunity to redesign a course coming from a person who sees right off the bat, we've got to get to here, but the way we've been doing things, that's not the best way to do it. And so the teaching center guys and gals seemed like they've done a
It was a great
they've done
fit.
a good had some good outcomes for you.
It was a really great fit. It was just a really great process and easy. And again, it kept me excited about what I was doing. I will share with you, because I feel like maybe I'm giving the wrong message, but we actually changed the course a little bit backwards. So we moved from a purely online learning platform where it was quite technology-based learning, so drop-down menus and going through and selecting answers. And we took it a step backwards where the actual work became more manual. And so students had to go back a little bit to the way that we did it, right? Not with pen and pencil, but still using software, but a little bit more going through the process and taking it one step at a time instead of being completely just automated. And it was great that the response at the Teaching Center was, that's an excellent idea, students learn better, it's evidence-based, here's how we can help facilitate that. So the knee-jerk reaction at the Teaching Center wasn't, oh, let's just use more technology or layer more technology on top of it, because they recognize that it's teaching focused, it's about student outcome and student learning. So that was really great to be able to actually take a step back, but use the technology to focus on it.
Yeah, that's fantastic. That's another thing we have in common. In music, you can go through the steps. You can do things just because your teacher told you to do them. But the product isn't going to be artistic. It's not going to be inspired unless you know the language you're speaking, unless you know, oh, this works because this, to know why they do it and not just punch it in and out comes the answer. That's brilliant.
I have an additional challenge in this course too, which is that the introductory accounting course is required for all management majors. So in a class of 60, I pull them on the first day. In a class size of 60, I'll have maybe 5 students who are planning to go the accounting route. The other 55 are in different disciplines and sometimes not even management majors. So the additional challenge is to make accounting interesting, make it resonate, and make it something that they want to think about, even though that's not going to be the area that they go into. And so, taking a step back from the purely technology-driven software and moving towards something a little bit more manual has been, I think, very beneficial for their learning.
I love it. Great. Thank you so much for
Thank you.
coming in
Thank you for having
and
me.
speaking to all of us.